What's going on, everybody? It's the Bearded One back with another beer review, and we're doing another one from Blue Pants Brewery out of Madison, Alabama. They're about, depending on how fast I'm speeding or how good the traffic is or how bad the traffic is, 15 to 30 minutes about northeast of me. I've been to their brewery one time, and I kind of explained the story in a different video in the American Amber review, so I won't repeat that. But I'm just kind of taking it upon myself every time I see a Blue Pants offering on a shelf in a beer store that I haven't reviewed yet or tasted yet. I feel it's kind of my mission as a reviewer from North Alabama to give this brewery and its beer the proper send-off it deserves, because maybe they weren't the most talked about brewery in the area, maybe they weren't the most popular, or maybe they didn't have the biggest distribution or whatever, but they were still a brewery in Alabama. And in fact, I believe their Dortmunder scored a silver medal at the Great American Beer Festival. So, I mean, take it for what it's worth, but Blue Pants is a respectable brewery in my opinion. I mean, how many breweries in Alabama even have a medal at the Great American Beer Festival? I can only name one brewery that's active. No, actually, I can name two breweries right now that are actively brewing, that have medals from the Great American Beer Festival. So that says a lot about Blue Pants right there. This is the Brut Pale Ale. I don't know if I said that already, and we're going to get into it. Not too much about the beer. Obviously, the brewery, if they're not totally done yet, I know they're down to at least contract brewing, just fulfilling out obligations and stuff to stores and whatnot, if they're even still brewing at all. But they announced that they were shutting down back in August of 2019, so it's been some months, so maybe by now they're not even around anymore, and I just hate to think about that. But with that, their website didn't say too much about it. I've never had a brooded beer of anything. I feel like, so it's 2020 now, and I feel like the brooded trend that I kind of saw in, I want to say 2018, maybe 2019, it's got a pleasant aroma. We'll get into that in a second, but I feel like the brooded beer trend kind of faded away, I guess. Faded away with this head dissipation. Nice segue into that. So what makes it a brut as opposed to just a regular pale ale? Well, I'm not an expert, but they did say on the website that whereas champagne distilleries, I don't know if you call them distilleries or breweries, champagne makers, they utilize an enzyme from the grapes, and so for beer to do this, they utilize that same sort of enzyme but from the hops, and it gives it the brooded. Now, I've not even had a lot of champagne, so I don't even know what brut is, but just by common sense and kind of putting the grand picture together, this will give it a champagne-like quality, particularly I would assume in the mouthfeel and the carbonation, like the bubbles and stuff. So we'll see if I'm right on that. This is a hop forward beer. Just let me preface before we get in. It's a hop forward beer, and I don't know how long this was on the singles rack at my favorite beer store. So the hops may have died down. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So out of a scale of 10, they put the hops at 6. So kind of a medium hoppiness, supposedly, is what I should expect. When they put the malt meter at 1, so no malt here. And let's get in. So, like champagne, the head kind of dissipated away, as we would assume. It's kind of a, now it is a pale ale, it's not champagne, which I'm not sure champagne's totally see-through. Yeah, I'd give it like a hazy, murky kind of quality into it. It's really yellow. It's really pale. When I put it up against, not an LED, it comes off as more of a gold. And when I put it against LEDs here, it comes off as way more pale. It almost has like a banana peel color to it. It's just kind of the descriptor I'm feeling on that. There's head there, but it's loosely bubbles. A lot of carbonation going on, very active. I'm not seeing any particulate matter, no heavy sediment. That's about it on the appearance. Yeah, I am getting that hop aroma. It's very citrusy. Let me see. I think I have the website. They had some interesting hop varieties they used. Yeah, it's right here. So they use Huel melon. So I am getting the melon. It's definitely in that citrusy melon category. Mandarina Bavaria, so mandarin oranges. Again, I'm getting that citrusy melon thing. Yeah, totally getting that. And then Hallertau Blanc. So I've never heard of Hallertau Blanc. I've heard of Hallertau and Hallertau Mittelfrüh. So I don't know if this is a noble hop or not, but it's supposed to give off a white grape component, I guess, either in the I don't know if this is a very aromatic hop variety, so maybe it's in the flavor on the palate. And then they added Cryo Citra just to accentuate the citrus orange flavor. So yeah, I feel like I get most of that. I'm gonna go in again one more time just to see if I pick up anything else, like the grape maybe. Yeah, I'm just really getting almost like some juicy citrus, orangey, melony. I don't get the grape. I feel like white grape would kind of be hard to pick up, and with this being, I'm just gonna go ahead and say this is aged a little bit. That white grape, I would assume, has probably subsided a little bit. Yeah, so we'll just get into the best part of a beer review. So it's definitely a hoppy beer, and it's got a weird, like, the viscosity on this thing is pretty thin. But then there's like tons of carbonation going on in here. I think the weird part is how dry it is. This thing is super dry. Like, man, is it dry. You just want to go in for a sip every time. I mean, this thing, like, as soon as I get it in, it's like clearing up. Like this is the driest beer I've ever had, and it's a bruted pale ale. So no no surprise there. Definitely standard. I get more of a resiny, hoppy flavor more than I get like a melon or citrus. I mean, it's kind of there. I just think with age, there's no telling how old this thing is. I feel like a lot of the flavor maybe has subsided, and then this thing has tons of carbonation in there that kind of, and then the dryness. Like, I don't feel like I get enough time to, I don't feel like I get enough time to enjoy the flavors in this beer, because it just like comes off of the palate so quick. For me personally, I think this beer is just an average beer. I'm gonna have to give it a 2.5 out of 5. It's not bad. It's not great. I think bruted beers to me kind of fall into that category, what I like to call novelty beers, where it's just more for the sake of you made it because you can, or you're drinking it just for the experience and the ability to say you've had a bruted beer. I don't really view these beers as viable for everyday drinkers or anything to get excited about, because again, like it's really, at least this beer in particular, is just so violently carbonated that I feel like I'm having to tell my brain to kind of get through that carbonation, like just to get over that sensation in my mouth, to really figure out the flavor and the nuances of this beer. And then by the time that happens, I mean, it's like out of my mouth, and I feel like it's every sip is a tease, which is good in the sense of you're going to keep wanting to drink more and more and more. And this beer is 5.2% alcohol, so great call on that with the drying effect. It's real sessionable. But yeah, as far as recommendations, again, this just kind of falls into that novelty category for me. I would have loved to have tried this beer fresh, and just maybe there would be more hop character in here. It's just more resiny and bitter. At least now, I don't know how old the beer is, and I apologize for that as far as the integrity of the review. But hey, you got to play the cards dealt, right? And this is one of the only Brut Pale Ales I've seen since the shutdown. So, just looping back around to the recommendation. As far as the style, this specific beer, you probably can't find it anymore. But if you find a bruted beer, if you're into champagne, maybe give it a shot. If you're into pale ales, maybe give it a shot. Or if you really like hot flavor, or beers that dry. Well, I don't want to say if you're really into hot flavor, because I wouldn't say this is like the most hop forward beer in the world. It is a pale ale, not an IPA. If you're excuse me, if you're into like the citrusy hops, the more juicy beers, like a juicy pale ale or a juicy New England IPA, maybe try a bruted pale ale with some of these varieties of hops. Other than that, just an average beer. I'm at least glad I got to try it just for the experience and just to give this beer and this brewery the proper send off it deserves. 2.5 out of a 5. Blue Pants Brewery. Until next time, guys. Cheers.